Hi there, this is Jason Snadden, the Abundance Activator, and I'm here with a very, very special person today. This is Rosemary Butterworth, and Rosemary I call her my spiritual grandmother, and the reason I call her my spiritual grandmother is she's been instrumental in my spiritual expansion, spiritual awakenings during my journey. In my book, I talk about having come through my experience of losing my mum and delving into what happens when we pass over. And I regularly had gone and seen Rosemary while I was building my real estate business and using, the law of attraction and alignment and so on, and building my business that way, and having energy sessions to keep me aligned and to keep me operating the very best I can. And when I came back from looking after Mum, I knew I needed to go and see Rosemary. And when I arrived to see her, she said to me, "Oh, Jason, I'm so glad you're here because there's an ascended master that wants to come through me with a very clear message for you. Are you okay with that?" And this was my first experience of receiving a channeled message. And then our journey together has evolved significantly since then, and there's been incredible instrumental moments that have happened to me every time I've come to visit you, had a session. And so I just knew it was really important for me to get you to come and join me in conversation because you've been so instrumental in my spiritual growth. And so, so Rosemary is essentially a clairaudient, a clairvoyant, and a clairsentient. But I would say also an incredibly powerful, connected spiritual being, who is a great teacher and activator. And I'm incredibly blessed to have you in my life.
Thank you, Jason.
So, so first of all, do you want to just give us a little bit of a background about you and your journey and the differences between and what you actually bring forth, because a lot of people might not know what a clairaudient or clairvoyant or clairsentient is. So yeah, welcome.
Thank you so much. I guess we're born with different abilities. We all have different talents, don't we? And some people can sing. Well, you wouldn't ask me to sing, Jason, definitely not.
Me neither.
But I've always had these abilities to feel energies, to knowings, I call them, right? And clairvoyance is when you can see things, clairaudience is when you hear things, clairsentient is when you can smell things. When I felt Sai Baba's presence at home, I'd smell beautiful fragrances, like jasmine. And the whole room would be filled with it. And one day I was doing a healing session and I just saw the gift of rose petals being given to this woman. She was going to get married, actually. And these rose petals came down, but it was the perfume they had at the same time. And I could just see them. She couldn't see them, but I could see them come down all over. But she could feel the energy of that.
Right.
My work, Jason, with you has been amazing. From the time you came to see me, or I got these messages that I had to introduce you to these masters, whether it was Master Quarton or Master Kutumi, because you were ready. That's the difference. And my work is always to help people be who they are, because I can read their energy. And I can read if they're blocking it, right? So if I get somebody who could be a really powerful healer, and then I see they have this feeling, this thought pattern, I'm not good enough yet. I'm not divine. How could I do that? And that limits them, you see. So when I see that, I also see that in the part of the body. It could be in their heart. They could have had, something that really upset them and they felt it was their fault, lost a friendship or something. Or it could be that their parents said to them, particularly a man, don't be stupid. You know,
Yeah.
or you'll never succeed if you don't do your homework.
Yeah.
You know, and that goes in very deeply, you see.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, working with my team, as I call them, I can, with their help, eliminate that.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to see them uncover, to let that go. And that's what I could see about you. Ever since I met you, there was this huge potential to help other people.
Mm.
And you call yourself abundance activator. Well, you surely are, you know. But it's not only, you had to learn, it wasn't only helping them bring finance and abundance of money into their life. It was abundance of presence. And you got that one day with me. You said, my gosh, it's abundance of presence. I said, yes.
Yeah, that was a very powerful activation, if you like.
It was abundance of love, because that's who they are.
Yeah. And that's what we're all connected by, that beautiful frequency of love.
Yes, we are that beautiful frequency of love, which is coming on the earth at the moment in waves. Right? And the love energy is so high. They need you, Jason, to help them assimilate that energy. Because while they've got thought patterns of a lower vibration in their body, it can actually, the love energy can actually be so high that it can magnify those lower energies.
Yeah. So the more of us that are tapping into that frequency of love, the more of us that put out the frequency of love, we're helping the collective. Is that what you're saying?
Definitely. Definitely. They told me yesterday, Jason, that they gave me an analogy to use to my clients and different ones, that it's like climbing Mount Everest. You need preparation, right? You can't just go and get your gear on and go and climb Mount Everest. You can't breathe up there until you've acclimatized yourself. Well, love energy is so high, Jason, right? We need more and more people in that energy to help us breathe and acclimatize ourselves. And we need you, Jason.
Not just me.
Not just you, all of us. I call them Lightworkers online. I've got a group now, and that's what I've got, Lightworkers online. An army of Lightworkers. To be living in this energy of love. To remember it.
Yes.
That we are love.
We are. And it's interesting because and there'll be a lot of light workers that will hopefully watch this recording. We've all had to come through our journeys of in and out of our
getting
power.
dumped by the wave.
And it's challenging at times. It's been challenging to be dumped back down, but it's also part of our own expansion, isn't it? Yeah,
totally. When we get ourselves up and dust ourselves off and say, oh, that was a good lesson, wasn't it?
And it also means we have a lot more compassion for what others are going through. Because if we just were all love and light, we wouldn't be able to resonate. We wouldn't be able to understand what other people go through. So we have to go through it ourselves, right?
I feel in being a teacher and healer, you had to have gone through everything.
Yeah, right.
So you're talking from experience. And when you say to people, I know how you feel, they know if you're speaking the truth. Because that is exactly what you're saying. I've been through that myself.
Yeah.
Or I'm still going through.
Well, we're layers, aren't we?
Yes. But it's wonderful to see us take off the layers and more of ourselves shines through. Doesn't it?
And what do you, this time of you know, that we're going through with you know, the virus that's here, what's your take on that situation?
I feel the earth's getting a very good cleansing. I feel that we are at the end of one age, right? And it's a new dawning, new beginning. And when you look at the good it's doing, I mean, even someone said to me this morning on the phone that there's dolphins now in the canals in Venice. You know, the water's so clear. The earth's getting cleaned. And we've got to live differently. If we are all going to be love and light and kind to one another, there mustn't be any wars. And, you know, it's not about, this is mine, my land. No, that's not yours. You can't own land, really. Can't own the air. It's for everybody. It needs to be shared. You know, and this is helping us get to that level of consciousness. You know, and I have to laugh because we have a family next door to us. We've got 4 small children and they were running out of toilet paper. So we were able to give them a few rolls, and then another neighbour gave them a few rolls, you know. And they had their mother visiting. She said, "You people in the country," she said, "you're so different. You care for everybody," but everybody's getting to that.
Yes, it's happening here. You know, I mean, I live in, you know, in suburban Melbourne, and there's already this community feeling that's going on, and people talking to each other at a distance in the street. And we've got a lady that's on her, an elderly lady that's on her own 2 doors down, and we checked on her and she said, "Oh no, everyone's checking on me, I'm good." She's probably but it's wonderful because that hasn't been around so much in the high density sort of areas, you know.
That's right. Everybody's sort of very aware now.
And we are aware, aren't we? We're aware of what's going on and where people are, because you have to know. And what I've noticed is people aren't stuck looking at their phones walking along. You know, people are up and present and noticing what's going on. And
exactly. And they are. And that's the first level. Is when I wrote my book, I wrote about noticing. You've got to notice. You know, if you want to move forward, you've got to notice where you are.
Yes.
And become aware.
And that's a good plug, because your book, How to Move Forward, which we will put a link to how you can purchase that book. You can get it through me as well, because I've got them. But it's a terrific book, because it gives you very easy to understand lessons for each day. And I mean, I've obviously read it a few times, but what I do with it is I go, "Oh, I need to open up Rosemary's book today," and then I'll get exactly what I need to know that day.
That's good. That's good. Oh, I actually got guidance myself a little while ago. I was apparently asleep, you know what I mean, not aware. Yeah. And it was like, "I think you need to go and read your own book."
Yes.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Yes.
And so tell me, how do you, so obviously you've written a book, and you live up in mid-north New South Wales, Dyer's Crossing, and a beautiful part of the world. How do you work with people to support them? How do you conduct sessions and things? Because I know I know what I do, but I'll let you.
Well, mainly I do it by phone, because the amazing thing, doesn't matter what part of the world they're in, whether they bring me up from England or Hong Kong or wherever it is, I immediately feel their energy. So I tell them how they are. So I usually have an hour session. Takes me about an hour, and to do that, yours will.
Wonderful.
I like it. So I don't need any more to see people on one-on-one except you.
Well, I love coming up to have one-on-ones with her. That's all curtailed at the moment.
Yes, I know. So we can always still do it on the phone, you know. But yeah. So it's always lovely to see you when the restrictions are lifted.
Yes.
There's no more distancing.
Now, you've had some amazing experiences as with your beautiful gifts. Is there any particular one you'd love to share, just to give people an idea of the sorts of things that happen?
When I look back, the experiences I've had are amazing, whether it's to get a week off work and go to Hawaii and see the Archangel Michael, because a 16-year-old daughter gave me this little message, 16-year-old girl, friend's daughter, gave me this message, and I went to Hana, Maui, on the spur of the moment, and he appeared to me. Or whether it was, I saw somebody.
So you actually saw him in, as if he was in physical form. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. What happened was, I was told he would appear if I was in a rainforest.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to think, we're on a tropical island, there's a rainforest, and that's why I went to Hana, Maui. And just a little bit of validation. You always get validation that you're on the right track. I'm very shy and I don't like traveling very much, you know.
Yeah.
So when I arrived on the main island, I went straight up to my room and stayed there. The next morning, the porter knocked at the door because I was flying off to Maui the next day to Hana. And he knocked at the door and he had this beautiful lei. And he handed it to me. And I said, "What a lovely custom you have here. Thank you so much." Because I thought he'd just come to get my bag to take it down. And he said, "No, I saw you arrive yesterday. I went home and picked these poor kenny flowers out of my garden and made it for your special treat."
Oh, wow. Wow.
I put them on and sobbed at the validation, you know.
Wow.
And so then I went over to Maui, and the next day I knew, because I stayed at the Sheraton, it was the only place I knew where I could stay, and I knew he wouldn't appear on 6 acres of mowed lawn. We were in little huts. So I went walking, and I took with me a camera, a little disposable camera we had then, and a pen and paper. And I just walked and walked and walked. And then I finally came to a church, and it was just a bit below the road level. And I went down. It was a disused church because the grass was very high. So being a disused church, I thought, oh, well, I'm not trespassing. I went round the back and sat in the back on the ground on the banana leaf and meditated. I thought he'd appear there. And he didn't. And I was really cross. And I said to him, "Michael, I have come all this way to see you. I have spent probably thousands of dollars to be here. It was the last of my savings. It was. I went home with $20. I said, and you haven't appeared." So I was very cross. So picked up my little camera, notebook, and went out the back way, out of the back gate of the church, down a little lane, and it opened up into rainforest. I looked up, and there were cherubims flying, and cherubims said, "Oh, she sees us." And I went into the rainforest a little bit deeper, and I couldn't breathe. The energy was so high. And as I watched, Michael started to appear, the head first, and then the body, his sword, wings, and he stood there. I didn't know what to say. So I said what you would say, which was, can I take your picture? So I got out my little disposable camera and took a photo, which sort of turned out. You could see his hand glowing, use your imagination. And anyway, so, and then he spoke to me and he said, come walk and talk with me. So I walked towards him, and the first thing he said to me is, through you, many things will come to pass. And I walked a bit further, and I walked into the biggest spider web you've ever seen in your life. And it went all over my head and my face. And I imagined this tropical spider all over me, and I screamed. And I had been told to stay positive or you'd lose the sight.
Yes, yeah.
So after screaming like that and trying to drag off this cobweb, he was gone. He did tell me afterwards to create space, create a space. So I thought, okay. And I got together with some other people, and that was when we started the Southern Cross Academy of Light. But I thought afterwards he probably meant to create the space in me. not all, but anyway. But we started the Southern Cross Academy of Light, which now has been morphed into the Academy of Light since I've left.
Yeah, wow.
It's still going.
Yes, and that was
yes,
it's been an amazing platform for other.
Looked after that for 20. My work is always to promote other people's work.
Yes.
To get them to be who they are, always. Yeah. Because that's what I see in recognising people. But the other thing I love to do is talk to people who've crossed over. Yes. Might save those for another day.
Yes, it sounds like there's so many, and but I wanted to thank you so much for joining me on the call, Rosemary, and keep shining your light. And what I'll do is I'll post the details of how people can contact you, and also the details of your book in this post. And thank you so much for joining me, my lovely. And I look forward to our journey continuing. And I'm just completely always open to what's next.
There's just 1 second. Oh, you have just so many angels with you at the moment, helping you. Good work, they're saying. Good work you're doing. Okay.
Oh, thank you. That's it's reassuring.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste to you too. Blessings. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.